is Monday, and I don't know what your Monday motivation may be. Maybe you're looking to just hunker down and make it through another week to get to the upcoming weekend, which is pretty far off. Or maybe you just enjoy celebrating every moment of life. Then again, your Monday motivation may be to make other people miserable. And I hope that is not the case. But I don't know. The only thing I can tell you for certain is the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Jeff McAleer once again, and I am your host here at the Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. And welcome aboard. It's another week. Today is Monday, January 8th, 2018, and I've got quite a bit cooking, at least for this week. Maybe not today's show. Today's show might be a little bit shorter than you're used to seeing, simply because there isn't a whole lot of news going on. But, and the unboxing I'm doing today is Capital City from Calliope Games. And I will have this in just a few moments. Let me block this on out. But it is a pretty, well, it's not a tiny box, but it's a smaller box. May not take us all that long to go through an unboxing for it, but I'll put that off to the side there. And if you have been watching in the past, you're going to notice there's a bit of a brand new look to the stream here. I cleared away some of the stuff that was kind of taking up space. I wanted to get a little more real estate, and it's not necessarily because I want to have my face for radio all big and bold right in front of you. It was more in the line of when I do the news and do the reviews and how it plays and unboxings and so forth. And when I originally was conceiving the Daily Dope, I had thought it was going to be more kind of aimed towards Twitch as opposed to YouTube. So I was putting together kind of a Twitch stream and trying to make the whole screen here look more in tune with a lot of Twitch streams out there. But I'm honestly, and of course, YouTube was just kind of, well, I'm going to put it on YouTube too at the same time. And really, no offense to anybody who's a big Twitch TV fan or anything like that. It's just a different audience there. Yeah, different's probably a good word. So I'm really going less focused towards a Twitch look and just more focused on kind of looking normal. So there are social media icons aren't popping up in rotation. There still is chat. Chat is around. It's just not on screen any longer. There wasn't getting comments in that in chat, but not a lot of comments in chat. So there is still chat. I still have it where I'm looking right at it. So if you have any questions or anything like that about, say, Capital City or reviews in the future, by all means, ask. I will credit the person who asked the question or makes a comment or whatever. It's just not on screen any longer. So a little bit different look, a little cleaner. It was kind of messy, and I was going to change it anyway, and then somebody had commented on a video that it looked like the stream looked sort of like an infomercial at 2 a.m. Like I was begging for money, and I'm like, there's no begging going on, man. So what? So I show there's a link to our Patreon for Patreon supporters and stuff, but, you know, it's not like I sit here begging for money from people. Anyway, I was going to change it up, and that just kind of incented me to do it sooner. Anyway, so it is Monday. Everybody's settling in for a brand new week. And just to let you know what I've got cooking for this week, I did show you that I'm going to unbox Capital City in just a little bit. Now, on tomorrow's show, I am going to, little heavy box here, just reaching on over to grab it. I am going to do kind of a how to play as well as review Swords and Sorcery, or Sword and Sorcery, I should say. Sorry, made it a plural. It's not a plural. It's Sword and Sorcery from Ares Games. Let me block my noggin out again. And that will be on tomorrow's show. On Wednesday's show, which is kind of War Game Wednesday, I like to say, I think I'm going to do a how to play. I'm a little bit up in the air on which game I'm going to feature as the how to play. And I'm actually going to leave it to the viewers to decide. And I will put a poll up on Twitter later on today. So the choices are going to be, and I did not pull them off the shelf behind me, 1960, Making of the President, I should say, from GMT Games, or Night of Man from Flying Pig Games. So there are two options there. And I know Wednesdays recently have been pretty heavy on the GMT side of things. And there are other companies out there that are producing kind of conflict simulation games. So I want to share a little more love for them too. But hey, once again, that is going to be up to you. On Thursdays I like to feature RPGs, so I'm probably looking at doing a PDF review from Adventure a Week Games. For some strange reason last week when I was throwing out kudos to Jonathan from Adventure a Week Games, I don't know why I kept thinking it was called An Adventure a Week Games. It's AAW Games, not AAAW Games. So I believe I'm going to do Snow White, which came out a while back, but it's very impressive. And I'm one of these people who, it doesn't always have to be Cult of the New to be entertaining, in my opinion. And there are loads and loads of games and supplements and adventures and things like that are out there that, you know, didn't just come out last week that deserve a lot of attention. So that's going to be on Thursday. Then on Friday, for Family Fun Fridays, I am going to do, as I try to reach over here, I'm going to do a twofer review. So I'm going to do two reviews. First is going to be Sakura Arms from the fine folks at AEG. And then I am going to review Shutterbug from Calliope Games. So a couple of family-friendly titles. Sakura Arms is kind of a fighting game, but, you know, it's fine for the family. It's not, you know, over the top gore or anything like that. So that's what I've got cooking. And then now, just before I get into the news, there was something last week. I can be a dope. That's one of the reasons why the show is called The Daily Dope. It's not just, you know, the scoop and the news. It's because I can be kind of a nitwit sometimes. And I was doing a news piece about Chariots of Rome coming from my friends over at Victory Point Games. And I had it in front of me. I was trying to remember to segue to it. And then one of the cats was down here, and I was going to try to, like, keep an eye on the cat because it was Smokey, and Smokey is just a ball of curiosity. So one of these days we are going to see her knock over a camera or something during a live stream. But I completely zoned out. I started talking about Circus Maximus, playing Circus Maximus back in the day, and so on and so forth. And if you watch the show, you know, it's very conversational. And there are times where I go off topic for a few minutes. I forgot to mention Victory Point Games is in the midst of a New Year's sale, and it kicked off on Friday, which is why I'm kind of kicking myself for forgetting to mention it. But right now, all Victory Point Games titles on victorypointgames.com are 20% off. There are a few titles that are actually adding an additional 10% off to, but everything on the site, 20% off. I do have to point out, Dawn of the Zeds 3rd edition is not in print, so you can't pick that up. Otherwise, I would be telling you, go grab Herman Luttman's game if you don't have it, but it is not in print right now. I will actually have a news piece about Herman's latest game on Wednesday, but there are plenty of other noteworthy titles that you can snag. Nemo's War is out of print too, so sorry. That's another big one you'd want to be jumping on, because there was just a Kickstarter for another print run of that. But you can snag my good friend John Welsh's Cruel Necessity, which is an English Civil War solitaire game, which is wonderful. There's also Healthy Heart Hospital, which is kind of a Euro-ish game that I really enjoyed. There's loads and loads of stuff. In fact, if you need to get an idea of some noteworthy games from Victory Point Games that you should be looking at to save money on, go to thegaminggang.com and you will find that there are loads of VPG reviews. So by all means, go and check that out and go save some money while you can. Anyway, let's move on to the news. Not a whole lot of news today, and there's a few things I'm going to mention after the news too that struck me as kind of odd. But if you happen to be a fan of lighter gaming fare, then you'll want to take heed, because the winter 2018 issue of Casual Game Insider has arrived. Oh, and it looks as if, oh, there we go. All right, so I'm going to have to fix, after the show, I'm going to have to fix how these news items pop up here, because it was supposed to open up with a slide of the cover of the magazine. That's what happens when I changed the look of the website. I had to tear everything apart and rebuild this whole kind of scene thing in the program that I use to stream. Anyway, as I was saying, the winter 2018 issue of Casual Game Insider is now available. And here's the dope. Harness weapons of unlimited power in Shards of Infinity, a new deck-building game from Stone Blade Entertainment. Plus, board games for sports fans. Yeah, I happen to be a real big sports fan. If you watch the show, you always see me in like Cubs stuff and Blackhawks stuff. I almost wore a Bears sweatshirt today because the Bears named a new coach, Matt Nagy, which couldn't be any worse than the last two coaches they've had. But that sweatshirt's all beat up because the Bears have stunk for the past few years. I'm not buying stuff for a team that stinks. Anyway, there's also coverage of Essen Spiel 2017 and PAX Unplugged, the replayability of great games. Replayability is one of the things that makes a great game. Bluffing games and the ethics of deception, and Gallant Games' tiny epic success story. Yes, and I gotta say, Michael Coe's Gallant Games and Tiny Epic have done really, really well. Enjoyed just the heck out of Tiny Epic Western. You can snag the winter issue of Casual Game Insider in PDF for $3.99, or the print and PDF edition for $6.99. I must admit I was a huge gaming magazine reader back in the day, back when there were gaming magazines on the stands, or that you would go in to your friendly local gaming store if you had one around at the time. And my gosh, I used to read tons. Different Worlds, Shadis, or it may have been called Shadis, but we always called it Shadis. The General, White Wolf, or there was another one, it was M1, which was kind of a historical miniatures magazine. Well, it wasn't really a magazine. It was more like a digest that came out quarterly. Used to pick that up like clockwork, and was actually produced here in the Chicago area. And of course, there was Dungeon and Dragon, obviously enough. And it's unfortunate we don't see enough game magazines, even e-zines anymore. And I know there's a few out there, but they all tend to be kind of house organs. So you've got Dragon Plus, Plus, which is pretty cool. I mean, I enjoy reading through Dragon Plus, even though I don't run D&D. I like D&D, the 5th edition. It's not a game I run. And then, isn't it Weird? Weird has their magazine that they do. There's No Quarter, which is Privateer Press. Like I said, it's all House Organ stuff. And then, of course, there's, Game Insider, but Game Insider is more along the lines of kind of like previews is for comic books, or it's kind of really more ads, and the articles are just, people shilling games. So it's nice to see Casual Game Insider, which gives you the real dope on a lot of stuff. I'm not necessarily saying that Chris James isn't kind of, try to push his own games too, but it is pretty unbiased in my opinion. Plus, Chris had asked me if I wanted to be a judge for the 2018 Casual Game of the Year. So I did submit some titles, which I hope will make it to the finalist level. We'll see. We'll find out. So anyway, by all means, snag the magazine in PDF for $3.99 or PDF in print for $6.99. Moving right along. Do you like push your luck games? Are you like me and feel your ears perk up whenever you hear the words Lovecraftian or, say, Cthulhu? If that's the case, then you might want to keep your eyes peeled for a new title from Smirk and Dagger Games coming in the second quarter of 2018, because it may just be time to tackle the Tower of Madness. And seeing the title of that, I just keep wanting to try to do a voice like this Space Madness episode from Ren and Stimpy. Tower of Madness. Terrible, terrible. Anyway, here's the dope about Tower of Madness. Investigate unspeakable horrors without losing your marbles. Literally. The veil between worlds is thinning. An ancient horror is awakening, and the very existence of the world hangs in the balance. Hate when that happens. You must investigate a series of horrific locations and discover the unknowable truth before the world ends, or go mad in an attempt to save it. Find the paranormal gates that have been opened onto our world. Be stout of heart and strong of mind, which leaves me out of the equation. Only then will you discover how to seal the gates and save humanity. A three-dimensional clock tower, standing a foot tall and filled with marbles of 4 distinct colors, stands before you. 30 unworldly tentacles push through the tower walls in every direction in this high-tension, push-your-luck dice game of Lovecraft-inspired horror. Fail your investigation dice rolls and you will be forced to draw a tentacle from the tower. Any marbles that fall as a result affect your character immediately, adding to your discovery total, gaining spells and knowledge man was not meant to have, gaining madness, or dropping one of 3 doom marbles that will summon Great Cthulhu and end the game. Investigate every horrific location in the deck, each with its own unique dice challenge, in order to save the world before your luck runs out. The player with the most discovery points is declared the hero and wins the game. Otherwise, the insane players collectively enjoy a brief moment of victory as Cthulhu rises, destroys the world, and eats them last as their reward. I don't really think of that as a reward. Tower of Madness is for 3 to 5 players, ages 14 and up, plays in about 40 to 60 minutes, and the MSRP has not been announced yet, but rumor has it, it should be between about $50 and $60. It seems a touch high. Anyway, release is planned for this June. And of course, the pulling tentacles out and marbles dropping out. Gosh, what was the name of it's? I think it's still out there. The kids game where you have the little sticks kind of stuck through and you got all the marbles and you're trying to pull them out and not let everything ballpark kind of, Jenga-ish. It's not really Jenga, but you know what I mean. It's kind of, push your luck. Hopefully you're not, they're don't break the ice, like as a little kid when you're sitting there with a little hammer tapping away. Anyway, so that is coming in June. Tower of Madness. Eagle Griffin Games, or I guess I should just say Eagle Games, has a double dose of 18xx news for fans of Railroad Empire building games, and I have the dope. Railways of Nippon is a self-contained 2 to 4 player version of Railways of the World, with a new map of Japan. What? Jeez, Jeff, can't get Japan out? Let me get a sip. Yes, Japan is not a word that I normally stumble over. Anyway, it's going to include a new map of Japan designed by Japanese game designer Hisashi Hayashi. I believe that's how it's pronounced. The game takes place during Japan's rapid industrial growth during the Meiji era. Meiji? See, now that's a word I would stumble over. Where you take the role of one of the entrepreneurial railroad barons of that time. You plan and lay track, upgrade your trains, sell goods to distant cities, and use operation cars to become the richest railroad baron of Japan. Balance your budget wisely, since taking too many bank bonds can ruin your business over the course of the game. Also, watch the competition closely because you can only use the track that you laid down personally to trade. Since the island of Japan is mountainous and narrow, there's often not enough space for everyone to lay their track where they want. Foreseeing your competitors' moves and well thought out moves, repeating moves a couple of times, will ensure you an undisputed railroad empire. There are some improvements to the core Railways of the World too, and they include a lower MSRP due to the reduction in size to 2 to 4 players, a much smaller and much sturdier box, sized for easier storage, new player colors that do not overlap the supply and demand colors, the cubes and the cities. I do recall that in the original game. A new ECM, the timer of the Railways of the World series of games. There's also water drops on the maps to indicate water hexes and avoid confusion. There's also 4 scoring track discs in the player colors. Railways of Nippon is for 2 to 4 players, ages 13 and up, plays in about 2 hours, and will carry an MSRP of $69.99. You can currently pre-order and save $7. Now, the other item of note from Eagle Games is they have a pre-order for the 10th edition of Railways of the World, or I should say 10th anniversary edition, and it is going to have a lot of changes as well in that. Railways of Nippon, although it is a standalone game, can be used as an expansion for Railways of the World. I believe it's only going to be an expansion for the new edition that's coming out. Don't know for sure. I'm not positive. Just kind of the vibe that I get. I would have brought you some more, some more images of Railways of Nippon, as well as the new anniversary edition of Railways of the World. Just not available. Also, there's a quick playing little RPG, and it has caught my attention because it looks pretty neat. And I know, I'm one of these people, I use the word neat. Sorry. I'm old school like that. Old school dopey like that, I guess. And the RPG is from Gallant Knight Games, or I guess I could say, if I wanted to be facetious, I could be like Gallant Knight Games. Anyway, the RPG is called Tiny Dungeon, and it's the 2nd edition. Here's the dope. Minimalist fantasy is back. Tiny Dungeon 2nd edition is the newest iteration of the minimalist fantasy role-playing game. Powered by the Tiny D6 engine, with streamlined mechanics that utilize only 1 to 3 single 6-sided dice on every action, characters that can be written on a 3x5 note card, and easy to understand and teach rules, Tiny Dungeon 2nd Edition is great for all groups, ages, and experience levels. Tiny Dungeon uses a simple, fast, and dynamic rule set to handle actions. The game uses up to 3 6-sided dice as part of action resolution. If you roll a 5 or 6 on a die, your check succeeds. Most checks are made with 2 dice. However, if you are deemed to have an advantage on a roll, you gain a 3rd die to roll. If you have a disadvantage, you lose a die, rolling only 1 single die. Characters are made quickly and easily. You will select a fantasy race such as Dwarf, Salamar, Goblin, Human, or more, 3 traits, and write down some basic information, and you're ready to play. Included are over a dozen lightly detailed settings written by some of the best authors out there. These micro settings are lightweight, open-ended, and designed to be inspirational for your games and provide a fast, easy jumping on point for your campaign. Covering a wide selection of fantasy genres and ideas, there's something for everyone in Tiny Dungeon 2E. So grab some dice, some pencils, some friends, and get ready for some minimalist, straightforward fantasy role-playing. The 192 page, I believe it is, PDF of Tiny Dungeon 2nd Edition is available right now. It's on sale. You save a couple of bucks. It's $17.99 from my friends over at Drive-Thru RPG. I will point out, as you take a look at the little slides going past, and I can't believe I let that slip past that it didn't start on the slides that I want them to start on. Have to fix that after the show. The Gallant Knight Games website is brand spanking new. So if you go to the website, there's different links and drop downs that are already set up, but they don't really lead to anything. They kind of lead to blank pages. So I can tell that this is a brand new website that's been set up. So I did want to share the link to the website for Gallant Knight Games, but if you are looking to check out Tiny Dungeon 2nd Edition, you got to really go to Drive-Thru RPG. And with all Drive-Thru RPGs, I always mention, if you're heading over there, be sure to stop at thegaminggang.com, click on one of our banners for the Drive-Thru sites, and if you make a purchase, we'll get a little percentage of that, which helps. It goes a long way. Anyway, that is it for the news. As I mentioned, really a pretty quiet news day overall. I was surprised because Friday we started to see some news pop, and that led me to believe that, because usually January is kind of quiet news month for tabletop games, but I thought, oh hey, we're gonna see some things start popping. Today it's still kind of quiet. One sec. If you watched last week's show Friday, I think I've got a little bit of a cold, so apologies on that. Having a hack there. But kind of piggybacking on what I was talking about with the Gallant Knight Games website, I'll cut them a break because obviously it's a brand new website. I'm not sure why they launched the site yet without the content. They're probably just mainly focused on taking care of business as far as games. But I'm really surprised at some companies and the way they approach their online presence as well as their social media presence. And I'm not going to name specific names for different companies. You know what I'm talking about. And I don't get it. I mean, there were some news pieces out there that I was sort of like, oh, hey, that sounds kind of interesting. I'd like to find out a bit more, go into a little bit more detail, see a few more images, of course, because if I'm going to share a news piece, I want to try to get more images out there for people to see what the game looks like. And there are some companies, they seem to just, and I'm not going to name websites either, seem to release news items to some websites, and I don't know if it's supposed to be like exclusive to them or what, but these websites actually never link to the company or to the product. They only link within themselves, which at the Gaming Gang, the policy from the beginning was always, if there was a news piece or review or something like that, we provide a link. There is a link to the company at least, and hopefully to the game page as well. Because I gotta be honest, if I'm looking to check something out and I can't get to the company or get to a game page or press news or anything like that, that game's gonna pop out of my head, because it's, I'm like most people, surfing around online looking at stuff, and it's like, ooh, shiny thing, ooh, a cookie, ooh, and I'm bopping around. So I don't understand the whole concept of, okay, so we're going to give a news piece to a website, and then if you wanted to go learn more about that from that news piece, for one, you can't click on a link from the news to go see it, and then if you go to the website, they don't have any info up. It's like, okay, I don't know. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then again, I mean, it's tabletop gaming. There are a lot of people who operate companies in our hobby who are not business people by any stretch. I'm certainly not really a business person. So, but at least, my website works. You click on a link, it goes someplace. Anyway, so over the weekend I got some gaming in, so that was pretty cool. I didn't do a ton, but I did get some time to play some stuff. So I'm gonna have some reviews. I already talked about what I'm reviewing this week, and something I'll go into a little more detail on Wednesday is I have been working on introducing my 16-year-old nephew Cameron and some of his friends to the classic Fletcher Pratt's naval war game. So I was spending a lot of time over the weekend putting together ship cards, kind of like data cards for the various different ships, and not creating miniatures. And I'll show these off on Wednesday. Maybe I should say show off. Show off is usually something pretty impressive. I'll share some of the ships that I've been working on, and nothing super impressive, but I want to be able to play Fletchers in a scale big enough. And if you're not familiar with the game, tune in on Wednesday. I'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. But I don't want little tiny ships like this. I want good sized ships, because originally in the 1930s, when Fletcher Pratt's was fairly popular, those ships were pretty large. And I'm not talking battleships. We're talking like cruisers were about yay big. They were pretty large. And I certainly do not have the skills nor the time to scratch build miniatures. So anyway, I spent a lot of time doing that. I just sitting there watching old episodes of Doctor Who, and yeah. So, well, I was doing that. Anyway, okay, so I'm rambling on again. Let's get to the unboxing. So I'm going to take a look at Capital City from Calliope Games. And Capital City is available now. It came out very recently. Oh, let me move that up to kind of center that. Came out pretty recently. In fact, I believe it made its way into stores the Tuesday or Wednesday before Christmas. So, in fact, there were 3 titles, and I will be reviewing one of them this Friday, and that is Shutterbug. But there's also Ancestry came out, which I will have a review of that. We did play it over the weekend, just only played it once. So, and those of you who are familiar with my policy, I guess I'll say, with reviews for board games and, kind of miniatures games, stuff like that, is that got to play it 3 times. before I do a review, unless it's awful. If it's really awful, it's probably not going to see a review in the first place. But I'm not playing it 3 times. But for the most part, most games I will play 3 times. We'll get together and play them 3 times. Okay, so we got Capital City, Build the Best Old West by James Ernest. And I might need to hold that up a little. No, I guess that's okay like that. It says, howdy partners. In this here fast-playing card game, you've got 1 year to help build the most famous town in all the West. Build coins for player order. Choose characters from the train. Purchase building cards from the main street. Put characters to work and gain bonuses from other family members. At the end of the year, the player with the most victory points wins. That's how a lot of games operates. And it is for 3 to 6 players, plays in about 30 to 50 minutes, and it's for ages 8 and up. Perfect for the family. As I mentioned, this is available right now, and it carries an MSRP of $20. Let's open this on up. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I've been kind of playing around with the sound a little bit on the stream, and I do notice on YouTube, when it renders the video to save the stream, the sound is kind of dropping in and out of sync from time to time, and there's really nothing I can do about that, and it's got more to do with YouTube than anything else. And I have even tried to upload the recording of the stream and watch it, privately, and watch it, and it falls out of sync the same exact way. It's weird. It'll be in sync in the actual video file, which is huge. I think one of the 90-minute shows was like 6 gigs that I had to upload, and it was in sync for that, and then out of sync when it rendered. And I watched it. I was like, so I deleted it because I figured, well, there's no difference between the file from the live stream that YouTube already rendered as opposed to the one I uploaded. So, anywho, back to Capital City. Let's get this on open. So, the Calliope Railroad Company, Capital City rules for passengers. Because my understanding is that you kind of Shanghai characters coming off the train to go to work for you. So everybody's, oh, look at that. Kind of folds out. So here we go. So we've got the components. So it looks like we've got the victory point tokens, dollar tokens, rule book. This is no book. This is kind of a rule fold out. The character deck, building deck, priority cards, season cards, and reference cards for all the players. So it talks about preparing and building the deck, the character deck, characters and buildings, season cards, priority cards, starting dollars. Everybody gets to start off with $10. Hey, back in the day, $10 was a lot of money. In fact, when I was a kid and I had to walk uphill both ways to school. No, I didn't. All right, season. Then we have step 1, setup. We've got the train. I guess we can fold down, kind of go back down to here. Setting up the train there. Your main street. Seasonal setup rules. The auction. Guess that's for player order. Starting bidder. As an example for the auction. Still talking about the auction here. Choosing characters. They're going to peek at that. And yeah, I'm guessing next would be here as far as these rules go. Attack and activate. Oh, attach. I was gonna say, wait a second. This is kind of like a kid's game. What are you talking about? Attacking. It's attaching and activating. Oh, so they're talking about, there you go, attach and activate down here at the characters. Then it's going to give you an example. And then we're looking at a reset and end of game. Talks a little bit about strategy too. All right, so all told, really 8 small pages of rules is what we're looking at. Not even, because the cover is one of them, like 7. So we've got these, those are VP tokens. These are money tokens. Yeah, might as well open them up, take a quick peek. If I can find where the edge of this bag is. There we go. All right, so those are victory points. I wonder if you can lose VPs. Otherwise, you would think, well, no, maybe not, because it's a card game. I was going to say, otherwise you would think maybe there'd be a little play board where you would just track your victory points. But it's possible with these little counters here. Or maybe you have to spend victory points on stuff. Don't know. But you have money to spend. So, find out. Haven't played the game, folks. First time I've cracked it open. You saw me take the plastic off. Okay, now we've got the money. It's like, well, we got 3 colors, 2 colors. Oops. So we got bronze, blue, and gold. Yep, so 1, 2, and 5. Look at that, I'm rich. I am rich! Capital City is mine. All mine. Of course, I turned Capital City into this dystopian western hellscape. No, I'd be a good mayor. I swear I would. Okay. Let's get these decks open. Let's see what we got. Now, I don't even look to see if there's one of those little strips of plastic that you can pull to unwrap decks of cards. Half the time, when a game company even has that in there, you pull on it and the tab breaks and you're stuck doing what I'm doing now anyway. So we got that deck. And we got this deck. Don't try this at home, kids. I'm kidding. You can do whatever you want at home. I'm not your parent. Make sure we get the cover back on this. I don't want to have it stuck in my hand at some point. So we've got priority cards, and it's for 6 players, so we're going to have 6 cards is my assumption. There we go. 1 through 6. Images on both sides. And we've got 6 player aid cards, right? We see we've got, what does that say? Walcott. So we got Dover, Walcott, Sharp, Haslip, Carey, and Porter. And we see there's a symbol for all of them too. So I'm guessing these are the families, because you're supposed to be recruiting different characters, and it said it. You know, you could use the abilities of their families. It's talking about season steps. So each of the players will get one of these cards. Nice stock. Not cheap or chintzy. Pretty standard card stock. I mean, I've seen some games with cardstock just appallingly bad. It's abysmal. It's kind of like, geez. I'm putting a sleeve on this not just to protect it, but actually give some heft to the card. Got season cards, there's 4. Spring, it's telling us what special effect. 1 train, buildings 2 or more than the number of players. Not sure what that means. Summer, 2 trains. I guess it's how many times you're going to get to recruit. Then we've got fall, 1 train. And winter, 2 trains. 2 trains in the winter, huh? Okay. Alrighty, I guess a lot of people like their holiday traveling to a new town to live. Okay, train station. I'm guessing these are going to be characters in here. So let's see what we got. Maybe not. It's a $2 deed. Feedlot. Oh, so this is where the buildings that you're creating. Main Street. Laundry. Telegraph office. The bank. Barn. Let's see. It looks like, yeah, post office. So this is $4 deed. Let's take a guess. Maybe that's how much money you get per season, if you have that, and how many victory points you would get either per season or maybe at the end. But I can't imagine they'd give you victory point tokens if you weren't tracking victory points constantly. Okay, land office. So all these are different. Bakery, jail. I'm going to own the jail. I won't be the sheriff. I'm mayor and sheriff. I'm telling you. You would not want me in charge of this western town. I'll tell you right now. A hostel. The school. Cool. Lumber mill. Kind of cool little artwork here. Mercantile. The mercantile. Theater. Bring out them dancing girls. No. Not even going to talk about that. Train station. Yeah, I was going to say, the train station's expensive. It's $7. But it pays off. Cool. Barber? Was that? Yeah, a barber. Huh. All right. Hardware, court, boarding house. The haberdashery. Hey, I would definitely own that because you always see me wearing a hat. Nice. Okay, so we've got all of these, which this is what you're building your main streets. You're looking to control as many, I'm guessing, control as many of those as you possibly can because you want to be the critter that made the biggest impact on the town so you can be named mayor. All right, so Creed Walcott. This is like a little star down here. Okay, so I'm taking a stab that, I love how it's like kind of this old coyote looking character. Taking a stab, see how the star, got half the star here and half on the building? Taking a wild stab that if you own the building, you need a character who you can match this up to be employed there. To probably get your victory points as well as your dough. That's my guess. Now, looks like we've got a repeat of the artwork here for these, though. So, it says Creed Walcott, Edward Walcott, Gregorio Walcott, B. Walcott. So, we've got male and female. Zalifa. I don't know. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. Zafia? Zilphia? That's easier. Ruby. Well, now we get a change. Now we go Janet. Okay, so these are the Walcotts, who are sort of, I swear, they look like coyotes to me. And then we've got Sharp, Looks like these might be eagles. Shower Sharp, Lillard Sharp, Ellsbury Sharp, Seb Sharp, Gus, Howell, Mildred, Mildred looks more like a toucan than anything else. So that's the Sharp family. Then we got the Dovers. There's Buffalo. Looks like Buffalo to me. Reese Dover, Marshall Dover, Cotter Dover, Wayne Dover, Ephraim Dover. Hey, that almost sounded dirty. Oliver Dover. Then you got Bertha Dover, Amelie Dover, Hetty. I get a kick out of how they're utilizing a lot of these really old-fashioned names, too. Okay, so those are the Dovers. Then the Careys, looks like they're cats. It's Raleigh. Oh, perfect saloon keep there. Orson, Ewell, Alvina. So I can see we've got hearts, and then we've got the sheriff's badge, and then what was it? A gear? Yeah, sort of like a gear. Looks like we've got 3 of these icons that you're gonna have to match up with the building. Okay, so those are the Careys. Here are the Haslips. And they're frogs, or amphibians. Let's see. Nope, they're frogs. A little deliverance music there. Alright. So those are the Haslips. Then we got the Porters. Gilman. Okay. And they are donkeys. Yep. Eden, Hollis. So at least they do recycle some of the, well, it's not some, they recycle a lot of the art for these characters, but at least they gave them different names. Annabelle Porter. All right, people are going to get upset. There's a pipe hanging out of Ethel's mouth. In fact, all of these that look like that. All right, cool. It looks like this might be fun. I'm always kind of looking out for stuff that I can play with my niece, Madison. She's not a huge gamer, but she likes some stuff. She's a big Love Letter fan. And I think it's just the whole take that aspect of that game that she appreciates. So it looks like something that she might get a kick out of too. Especially if there's ways to like evict people from the buildings that they own, then I think she'd probably be into it. But yeah, she's 12. So, but this is ages 8 and up. So, all right. So we've got the various different families. These all together here. So we got the families here. We also have the priority cards. The season cards. Oh, and one thing I should point out. The backs of the character cards are color-coded, so obviously they're... Well, I guess that's going to be kind of tough for people who'd be colorblind. No, maybe not. Because if we look, there's that symbol for each family, which I assumed was why that was included. So at least it gives you an idea of what family member, well, what family I should say, is coming off the train, but not necessarily who it is coming off the train. And it's very possible that you're going to shuffle all, I'm almost positive you're going to shuffle up these character cards for when they're coming off the train. All right. Cool deal. Right, so we've got that, and then we've got the, I'll save that for the put on top of the other deck. Okay, so we got those there. Got a nice plastic insert for storing everything. Then we've got the cards that we're going to use, the different buildings that will make up your main street. And we got the player aid cards here too. We got the money, money, money. Look. There's even a little bit of, get rid of that. Inspector 109. Even a little bit of artwork on the box bottom. That's nice. They didn't have to do that. I don't encounter that too often. Nice little extra touch from Calliope. All right, Jeff. Let's get that back in. There we go. So we've got the money, and then we've got the victory point tokens. Then we've got the rules fold out. Right there. And that is what we find when we take Capital City outside the box. As I had mentioned previously, Capital City is available right now. It carries an MSRP of $20. It's for 3 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, and plays in about 30 to 50 minutes. And of course, I will have a review of Capital City in the very near future. Certainly probably a title that's going to be on a Friday for Family Fun Fridays. All right, that is pretty much it for the day. As I mentioned, it was going to be kind of a shorter show. I had the impression we didn't have to dig into a ton of things in Capital City. So if you dig the video stream, if you like the Daily Dope so far, or any of the Gaming Gang videos, please subscribe on YouTube. Give video a thumbs up if you like it. It's okay if you thumb it down. If you don't, it's all right. My life will go on. But if you do like the Gaming Gang and the Daily Dope, give us a thumbs up and a subscription on YouTube. Anyway, when you're not watching the Daily Dope, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Oh, by now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will be back tomorrow with a review of Sword and Sorcery from Ares Games. And until then, I'm Jeff McAleer, and thank you very much for watching.